Bookaholics, it's Isabel and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about all the books I want to read this fall. Fall has definitely a different feel to it than summer. Summer is all about like the fluffy kind of reads. Fall is all about like the darker tone kind of books because everything starts like dying, everything starts getting darker, and that is kind of the books that I'm going for because that's kind of what I'm feeling now that we're getting closer and closer to fall. I'm really excited to start reading these books because I've been more focused on like the fluffy kind of reads and I'm kind of ready to get into the darker reads. So let's get right into it. So the first book I want to read this fall is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So 6 of Crows follows Kaz and 6 other people who are like the deadliest kind of criminals, and they're supposed to pull off this impossible heist on this notorious ice court that is impossible to breach, and it just kind of follows that kind of plot line. I have not read this yet. I know it's like a fan favorite in booktube, but I have not read it yet. But I'm really excited to actually get into it. I've heard such great thing about 6 of Crows. It does have that darker tone to it and has the kind of almost Halloween-y feel, I think anyways. Like it kind of looks pretty Halloween-y. I'm really excited to dive in here and try it out. The next book I want to read is the second book in the A Darker Shade of Magic series, so Gathering of Shadows. As I said, this is a sequel to A Darker Shade of Magic. So A Darker Shade of Magic follows this world that there's these different kind of magical worlds. One has no magic at all, one has harmony with magic, and one is absolutely in war with magic, and then there's another place that got blocked off because the magic just took over. In this world, a few people who can cross over between worlds, and one of them is the person we follow in here, and just things happen after that. I don't think I want to explain too much that goes on in this trilogy because it is something that you should go in as blind as possible and kind of figure out your own. So I've been holding off on this for a while. I'm not too sure why. I am excited. I really love VE Schwab's writing. It's very in depth, and I just absolutely love her plot lines. I'm really excited to get back into this trilogy and follow the characters again and see where this whole story goes. So I'm really excited for that. The next book I want to read is also a sequel to one I read before, and that is Hunting Prince Dracula by Kerri Maniscalco. So again, as I said, this is a sequel. So Stalking Jack the Ripper follows Audrey Rose, who is on a mission to figure out the mystery of Jack the Ripper. She is someone who works on like dead bodies to figure out what happened to them. I cannot remember what the word is for that right now, but she is very scientific and she wants to be the one to figure out who Jack the Ripper is and diving into the mystery, and she ends up meeting this mysterious boy who also is working with her uncle, and they kind of team up to figure out who this is. I've tried reading this book multiple times. I actually got up to page 52 last time I tried reading this, so like I've tried reading this a few times and I really want to continue with this series because I really love the dynamic between Audrey Rose and what's his face? Audrey Rose and Thomas. I love their dynamic. They're so fun to read and I just love their banter and everything, and I really want to dive back into their relationship and see where their whole story takes them in this book. I am really excited to read this. I just am having a hard time getting through it, so hopefully this fall I will actually finish this book. The next book I want to read is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. The Night Circus is a world where the night circus just kind of shows up in different towns around the world. Within this, there is a competition, and the two main characters, Celia and Marco, are in competition for something within the night circus. I'm not too sure what it is, but there's a competition and there is something lurking under the surface, I'm guessing anyways. It kind of sounds like that. So again, another book that is a fan favorite that I have not read. That's just part of my brand, that's okay. But I've heard so much stuff about this book. My friend has read this and absolutely loved it, and I've heard so many other people just praise this book, and I really want to read this. And I know it has a bit of a darker tone, I think. I'm really excited for this. I don't know. I feel like the hyped books are just so intimidating because I just feel like if I read it and I don't like it, I'm gonna be very disappointed, and I hate being disappointed by books. So like I've been just like putting it off. but I am really excited to read this one and finally pick it up and see what all the hype is about. The next book I want to read this fall is Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. So Ace of Shades follows Anne after her mother goes missing, and she kind of goes into the darkness of the city of sin where a bunch of crime lords and mafias are in. But in order to kind of find her mother, she looks for the aid from Levi, who is a street lord and a con man, and just kind of follows as they're trying to figure out the mystery, and things just unravel from there. And I'm guessing they are confronted with like the mafia or something to do with that, and just different things that are going on in the casinos and just all the darkness of a city like that. This book I got in an owl crate, and I was really excited to like open it and get this book in that owl crate. But then I never picked it up because that is my brand. I just don't pick up books that I'm excited for because that's just me. But I am really excited to read this one because it does involve mob bosses. I'm really excited to dive in here and see how Amanda Foody took this plot line and where everything goes in here. The next book I want to read this fall is Meat Market by Juno Dawson, which follows a girl named Jana who has androgynous looks, so not male, not female kind of looks, but then she is scouted to be a model, and she's kind of thrust into the fashion world and just realizes how dark and unglamorous the fashion world is. And so it just follows her as she's kind of navigating through the fashion world. It's presented as like a rags to riches kind of novel, but there's a definite dark underbelly underneath. So I actually haven't heard many people talking about this one, and I only found this because I was browsing through Indigo and I happened to see this and I was curious by the cover because the cover is pretty interesting. So then I read the synopsis and I was fascinated and I really wanted to read it, and then it sat on my shelf. And the next book I want to read is You Must Not Miss by Katarina Leno. This one follows a girl whose family is kind of falling apart, and in order to escape she starts writing in a journal, and she creates this whole world not called Near. This world ends up becoming real and she's able to escape into this world, and it just seems like kind of a utopia, perfect place, but then it starts really unraveling. The main character, Magpie, she starts to realize that she can do anything in this world, and one of the things she wants to do is take revenge. So this book just really kind of reveals the monsters that kind of lurk within ourselves. I didn't hear many people talking about it, but I was fascinated by the cover. I don't know if you can really see that with all the lights, but like this, there's the clearer woman here, and then there's the translucent woman just screaming in the background. So like I was fascinated by that cover and it got me intrigued, and then I read synopsis and it made me even more interested in what goes on in this book. So I decided to buy it, and then I never read it. I am really excited to kind of dive into this book and see what kind of psychological take it takes, because I feel like that's one of the main points in this, is just like a very psychological kind of journey. So I'm really excited for that, to see where this takes me and to see if I enjoy it. The next one I'm going to read is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. The Hazelwood follows a girl named Alice, who her grandmother was the author of all these kind of fairy tales that became really popular, and when her grandmother dies, her mother is kidnapped and taken to this supernatural world that her grandma wrote. So Alice and a big fanboy of the fairy tales, Ellery, go into the Hazelwood that she has always been told by her mother not to go into, and so they're off to rescue her mother. So again, another book I got from Owl Crate that I was really excited to get, and then I never read. I've heard kind of mixed reviews on this one. I've heard some people who really didn't like it. I heard people who absolutely loved it. So I'm really curious where I will land on this book. I am really excited for this one. I have a very hard time of picking books I'm actually excited about because I'm just a terrible reader. So that's just me. That's my brand. And the last book I want to read this fall is Vengeful by VE Schwab. Vengeful is the sequel to the book Vicious. Vicious follows these two roommates, Eli Ever and Victor Vale, as they kind of research and figure out how people get these supernatural abilities, and things just unravel. Just like the darkness of greed kind of just come out in this, and just the characterization of Eli and especially Victor was written so well, and honestly I don't know how to express my love for this or just how wonderful it was, or even just the plot. Like, it's just so interwoven that you can't really explain it without like telling everything that goes on, and I feel like you have to go into this as blind as possible. But I am really excited to see where it goes because I absolutely love VE Schwab's writing and I love where she takes the characters, so I am really excited for this one. These are all the books I want to read this fall, and I'm really excited to kind of dive into them and see where they take me and just get into that darker kind of mood. So if you guys enjoy this, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below what books you're going to read this fall. Do you also like to read darker books in the fall time, or do you like to read different kind of books? And subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever I post another video. I talk about books, movies, and TV shows on this channel, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!